Hello, everybody. It's Christy Whitman with the Quantum Success Show, where you can get your information and inspiration to create your desires. And as you can see, I have a friend. This is actually a new friend that we just became fast friends, learning that we're from Scottsdale, Arizona, and know a lot of the same people. So it's really exciting. But this is Maria Whalen, and she has come highly recommended from a dear friend of mine that really helped her turn her health around. So I want to give just a little bit of background on Maria and then get into it. So welcome, Maria.
Thank you. Great to be here, Christy.
So Maria is the pioneer of true individual health freedom, which we're going to talk about what health freedom is. Maria Whalen is transforming alternative and Western medicine worldwide. After battling back from near death and healing herself completely of a so-called, what they call incurable disease, Maria created her own groundbreaking invincible wellness system. She reveals how to become your own doctor. I just love that, and gain complete control of your own health so you never become sick again. I mean, I just think that's just the key to all of it right there. So the invincible wellness system frees you from today's healthcare system, giving you complete and total independence. She's the figure that the industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and titans of business turn to for invincible health. So if health freedom, liberation, and independence are important to you, and you want to protect your greatest asset, which is you, your physical well-being in your body, then you must experience the powerful presentation by author, international speaker, and leader of the self-sufficiency movement, Maria Whalen. So Maria, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So I'd love to find out how you define health freedom, because I know that we probably all have some kind of, idea of what that conjures up in our mind, but I'd love for you to tell us what you mean.
Yeah, no, it's so true. The word health in and of itself is one of those words that gets so flippantly thrown around, So I take it to another level. So that's why health freedom and understanding my definition, because it's more about what my goal is to get people to, and because we can all have our own definition of health freedom. So the way that I operate is three things. And one is that people have to know how to heal anything. And I always joke that I could spend an hour on each one of these, because just saying that alone, there's so many mental things that happen, right?
Yeah.
We instantly go to how's that possible? Because that's what we're taught. That's how the culture and the systems have trained us. So that's the first thing, is that you know how to heal anything. So literally anything. So anything your body created, your body can heal. So I always say, take whatever your ailment is, insert it there.
Love it.
Yeah. And then the second thing is how to never get anything. Again, that goes into what, right? We're dealing with the statistics nowadays are insane. We're hanging out with two of our girlfriends, and it's you're looking around going, one of us, 1 in 3, those are not good statistics. And so getting people from a place where we're not just kind of waiting, we're not just playing Russian roulette, or we're not guessing, but actually knowing how to never get a diagnosis. It's a very powerful, empowering place to come from.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, it's huge. And the third thing is how to do it yourself. So you're not reliant on Western medicine. You're not reliant on a guru. You're not reliant on a healer. You're not reliant on anyone else but yourself.
Love it.
I kind of joke. I'm I always try to work my way out of a job, because I tell people, after people graduate from my program, it's a 3-month-long thing. And after they're done, I'm you don't need me. That's the whole point here.
Yeah.
So if you stay in my graduate program, it's just because you really like me, but not because you're dependent on me. So that's freedom. That is, from my own journey. It wasn't just about health. It wasn't just about, hey, I healed myself. Who cares? It wasn't about that. That's great. And what I did was a big feat, but really that's not why I started doing what I did. It's because when I stepped back and as I went through the process, I saw oh my goodness, this alternative system is just as broken as Western. It's so much better. And I so desired for it to continue on and to be more powerful. But the way in which we utilize it, it's breaking it down. And, nobody has their own system. Nobody is using it from a place of a complete process. we are all using this really scattered languaging and chasing certain body parts. And it's like, where does our body operate by itself anywhere? So we're just, it's off. It's like anything. If you're teaching somebody success in business, relationship, you're not just pulling one piece of it, right? You got to look at the whole thing, and there's got to be a very systematic approach. And we just don't have that anywhere. Nobody in the world's doing what I'm doing. I know that. And it's not, trust me, it's not something I'm like, hey, I'm so excited about that, because it's actually way harder.
Yeah.
It's easier to sell a quick fix. It really is. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Well, let me ask you this. How is your system different than, alternative modalities, like, say, doing acupuncture or doing all these other things?
Yeah, totally. So that's a big question. I'm just going to try to chunk it as basic as I can. So when I healed myself and I stepped back, and I ended up going to pre-med. My pre-med was Western and alternative. I was blessed to be able to have found that and did that. So when my professors started coming to me asking for help, that's when I went, okay, I'm right. Everything I suspected back here years ago, I'm right. I could see why. And it was, number one, it's like a modality doesn't heal you. The organs that are inside your body, they all come in all these systems, right? They all play off of each other. They play their own roles. And when we don't work with the body in all the systems, then you're missing it, right? So the modalities are meant to help, of course. They're all great. But if we're only focused on one and we're focused on the modality instead of the organs and the systems, we're missing the mark. And that's why a lot of people try things. That's why, it doesn't completely heal something. And, honestly, Christy, I'm always doing the facepalm thing in the industry because I hear so much craziness, and I'm like, we're not asking good questions anymore. And I'll have people who are like, oh, I did this XYZ thing and my ailments are gone. And I said, but see, the problem is you don't know why it was there in the first place, which means you also can't make sure it's never coming back again. Because how many times do you hear that?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I got better for a little bit, and I know I lived it. That was me years and years ago. I was like so frustrated. I thought, oh, I finally found the answer, and then you go out there and you hear a million different things, and everybody, especially nowadays, the fads and the hypes, because we have the internet, it can get even more confusing. And when you're the one who's challenged at the time with a health ailment, the last thing you want is confusion. It's already overwhelming,
right.
And you're
absolutely.
just like, oh my gosh, this person said this and this person totally contradicted that, and just change your diet. And it's like, diet is one of the smallest pieces of the puzzle.
Yay! So, no, I'm kidding.
I know. And it's still, it's such a paradox because it's actually critical if it's off,
right?
But it's such a small piece even when it's on, and that makes sense because
yeah.
It's a small piece of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is there's 5 places your body literally operates everything from, and you have to do all 5. That's the key. And a lot of people do 1 or 2 or 4 even, and you miss one, there's a missing link. No different in any system anywhere else. It's just funny how much we don't do it when it comes to the human body. We get it intellectually with everything else. You wouldn't have a business and not have an accountant or do your tax, not know your finances or your numbers or not do marketing XYZ. So,
right.
So I'll tell what these 5 are.
Okay.
And, I always gift my webinar, my workshop, I call it, because I like to just break down these 5 pillars and so that we can understand it, because it's obviously a lot of paradigm shifts. So I get that. So the basic 5 are your hormones, your immune system, your physical structure, mental, emotional component, and your DNA. Those are big ones.
Okay.
And literally, when you realize that there is absolutely nothing left, there's nothing else. Every single thing in our body boils down, it distills from that foundation. So, the thing under those 5 pillars that I teach people is distinctions. Those are so, so critical. I spend so much time in the beginning of my program where people go, well, so-and-so told me, this is good for you. And, it's the same thing, right? They aren't all created equal. And when you know the distinctions for something, it can literally be night and day difference. I've had people who've tried to lose weight for years, and just one distinction that they missed under the hormone piece changed everything. right? So there's so many important things. I've watched people get off major medicines, all kinds of stuff because of those distinctions.
In the last year, I went through some big hormonal changes and was causing like a lot of just disruption in my system. And I feel like it's back in control, but you know, it got there in the first place. And that's the point. I don't know, like, how did it get off? And what's that, you know, the cause? Because that's obviously the effect. So I'd like to even learn more and figure out what was the cause so that I can prevent that from happening again.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's so huge. I mean, honestly, Christy, it's like even the hormone conversation, I watch so many women suffering from a slew of things. I mean, it is just unbelievable. And the things that are out there are the typical catchphrases, you know, bioidenticals and your thyroid and this. And it's like, it is such a bigger picture than those things. And it's actually very simple. But if you had something to follow step by step, because the system is the key. And so like those 5 pillars, that's why I break it down in the workshop, because it's not just the 5 pillars, it's also how you implement it. That's critical. You know, I always say the right time, the right place, the right order, the right tools, all that kind of stuff is so important. And that's when you pull the right modalities in at the right timing. And you use the proper form of it, you know, because we make it very complicated.
Well, I'm grateful of this conversation because it was just a few short weeks ago. I went back to my natural doctor. They do those pellets, you know, with hormones. And she wanted to insert it in me. And she started the process and actually she put the instrument in there. And all of a sudden I just listened. My body was screaming at me, don't do it. And most of us don't, at that point, you know, listen and just let them do that. And I said, I'm sorry, but I need you to stop. And she said, excuse me? Like, I almost have the pellet and I've got the instrument. And I said, no, I need you to stop. And she goes, I've never in all my years ever had anybody tell me to stop in the middle. I said, well, I am, and I'd like you to get the instrument out of me. So she did. And I just knew intuitively as she was doing that, my body doesn't need this. And so
Health freedom. That's health freedom, because you stood up for you. Like you're listening to your body and you honored it. You know, it's huge, but intuitively you got that's off, you know, wasn't it? But now you need an answer, and that's the difference, right? And
yes.
You just don't know what's going on with your body. And when you understand it, like all the way, like just think about that. I'll give a little snapshot for hormones just for fun, because this will help you and I'm sure millions of women.
People,
we don't even think about the millions of other pieces in our body that actually impact our hormone system. Okay. So you could be stressed out. Your adrenals could be taxed. Your adrenals might pull from, because our body is a self-compensating machine. So it'll borrow like credit cards, you know, from somewhere else. So it might borrow from your thyroid. Well, guess what? Your thyroid is the squeaky wheel and everybody thinks it's your thyroid. Right. And it's like, no. There's this whole thing. You know, the proper essential fatty acids, if you're not getting that, you know, hormones are fat soluble. Vitamin D is actually a hormone. Again, it's fat soluble. Your liver is where everything starts. If your liver is not healthy or there's anything, you know, we never usually clean our liver like we clean our house. You know what I mean? So it stacks up years over years over years, and that can make a huge impact. You may not even realize what's in your environment that can be affecting your hormones. All the makeup and the hair everything I have on my body is 100% chemical free. So I'm obviously, you know, people always laugh. They're like, I thought you were going to look like a hippie or something. Not that that's bad, but like they're always shocked that I look, you know, I'm like, nope, this is natural. This is all done with no chemicals. You know, there's no reason nowadays. We have so much available. You just have to know the resources and how to do that. But, you know, as women, we are slathering ourselves with chemicals like crazy. We don't even realize, you know, the water you're drinking can have an impact on your hormones. You know, we're drinking out of plastics that have, you know, all these hormone disruptors in our foods. There's, you know what I'm saying? This is why it's like, whoa, all of a sudden you're like, there's 5 million things to look at that impact your hormones. So, you know, when people start with us, we go through a health assessment, because I want to be with you. And I want you to feel that I'm sitting with you in your home, and I'm looking in your fridge with you, and I see how you wake up and how you go to bed and what's in your environment, what you do every day, you know, and that's what you don't have when you have to go somewhere, right?
Yes.
You want to know you, that's your life. And then
right.
to walk you and hold your hand and walk you through, all 5 of those pillars, so that you can get at the other side of it. And when you're done with that, you hit reset. And it's freaking fantabulous. I mean, I've gone 12 years without even a cold, and my daughter is 12 in a couple weeks. She doesn't know what that means,
Wow.
And yeah, and it's just, it's such freedom, but it's not just about not being sick. It's so empowering, especially what's going on in our culture right now. I mean, look what's going on in our nation. Honestly, there is no time more important than what's going on in our society, in America especially. I mean, I have people all over the world, and we all deal with different stuff. But for us, being off the system and being so independent, and your health, that's the one thing nobody can take away from you. Mm. It's the one thing they can take us down with. And it is the most critical time ever to be at that level of empowerment and freedom, So for me, it's not just about not being sick. It's like nobody can ever mess with me or my kid, and I'm not just going to be surprised by a diagnosis. How often do we see that? I was totally healthy, and then, oh my gosh, I got this diet. I hear it all the time.
Right.
And, we got to bridge the gap. I mean, we really collectively look, it would change our economy overnight if everybody wasn't sick and knew how to not get sick like that.
Amazing. All of it has to start with our physical body. It all has to, because if you're off, I know the days I'm off hormonally, it's like mentally it messes with me. Emotionally it messes with me. I can't sleep, so then my mental focus is messed up. So it's such a huge part of the whole entire manifestation system. So it's
totally, and it's the only thing that'll take down all those other parts, if that is gone. And that's the biggest thing. So you're right. It's just so critical.
Absolutely. So leave us a comment. Let us know what you're taking away from this and how we can continue this conversation, because your health is really important. So thank you, and have a really awesome day, everyone.
Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to know more, check out the video and the playlist here. Stay tuned for more videos on this, and subscribe and click that notification bell to be notified of my uploads. See you next time.